What's up, guys? My name is Khan. We're back today in Scrap Mechanic, and we're back with a project that I really wanted to do just for a sort of testing thing. Now, I do want to expand this project a little bit more, but you can see here we're on this lovely sort of island, this lovely water world. We've got a couple little boats there, and we've got this nice little runway here. But I was playing around with the water buoyancy mod a little bit more and with the wings mod, and I realized we don't actually have a good testing area to play around with the buoyancy mod. When you put, you know, the water block down on a regular terrain piece, you don't really get the sort of immersion, right? It doesn't really feel like you're on the water because you have all these trees that are poking through and mountains that look weird. The water is relatively transparent, which kind of makes it difficult to hide the stuff underneath it. You really got to sort of camouflage it. So I decided to work on this terrain piece, and this is just the first tile. I do want to make a few more tiles for this sort of water world terrain set. Now, I don't want to make too many tiles. I don't want to turn this into some crazy series where, you know, we have 500 different tiles for the same thing. I just wanted to make, you know, maybe 5 or 6 different tiles, and I'd love to hear what your guys' ideas are for what those tiles should be. But the first tile I wanted to make was this one here, which has this awesome island, another little small island there. It's got a little bit of a runway on it, and we'll just take off in this plane, of course, the standard starter plane, just so we can take a look at, you know, this tile a little bit better. We've got this lovely little bit of a landing strip there, and we've got this massive sort of mountain covered in trees. I didn't really want to make a big mountain that you could like walk up. I mean, you can, but it's really just this super dense forest. It's really cool, and I'm really a big fan of it. But I really wanted to make like a series of islands, and you can see here we can fly across the map, and as we fly across the map, we've got this lovely sort of ocean spread out beneath us, and you can kind of see the borders of the map ever so slightly, just the borders of the square. But overall, really love this tile. It took me a fair amount of time to work on it and to get it right, but it does allow us to really play around with the boat mod and to have a water effect. Now, I was looking on the workshop for water world tiles, and that's sort of what inspired me to do this. There were a few, but the problem I found is that they didn't have enough depth, and you can see here, we'll just fly under the water and really engage the realism. There's no buoyancy block on this particular creation, so it doesn't get affected by the water, but you can see we've got a lot of depth here that we can actually play with, and we've got this blue colored terrain, and I've actually adjusted it properly so that the water line is consistent across all the islands, and when I make more islands, we'll make sure that the water line is consistent across those as well. But you can see here, we can just kind of, we can kind of just drive up this like it's a hill, and we can take off and just fly right back out of the water. But we do have a lot of depth there to play with, which is great. So we can make boats, submarines, and all sorts of stuff, and definitely make some more islands. So I'm really curious to hear what you guys think, and I want to hear what other kind of islands you guys would like to see. This is obviously a very simple runway island. I don't want to make islands that are built up with lots of like technology or buildings or anything like that. I really just wanted to make islands that are kind of, you know, almost not really abandoned, but just sort of like natural, you know, like big forested islands like this. They haven't been touched by mankind yet or anything like that. And maybe a few others around the map. Definitely some rocks sticking out of the water. We'll definitely need some of that. But you can see we can do this nice little fly around the island, and everything is just great. So we're just going to try and come in for a landing here. Let's see if we can do this. And we'll just slow down. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Oh, come on. Oh, just pulse that. Oh, perfect. Look at how smooth that landing was. Just bounced along the terrain. I wish we could get rid of the terrain bouncing. I didn't want to use assets for the runway, though. Again, I wanted to give it that sort of natural dirt feeling, but yeah, our plane's just going to keep rolling. It might roll right into the water. But of course, you do lose a bit of the immersion. I really love this mod. I love the water and the wings mod combined, and you can see there, we do have a sort of wave generator built into this. So really simply to generate some simple waves on the map here, I just added this little section of pieces here, and you can see it's just a controller with a switch, and it's just got some concrete to support it, and the water block is actually mounted just right there where that white piece is on top of this little block here, and all it does is this controller and switch loops between 2 different positions, between 60 and -60, and of course we could adjust this arm longer if we wanted bigger waves, but I just wanted to give that sort of nice lulling effect, like there's just some really calm waves on the ocean, and you can see with these boats, they actually will move up and down. You can see there, they're actually slightly moving, so it really kind of adds that extra level of realism. But of course, if you jump in the water, you know, nothing happens. Your character just kind of runs through the water as if nothing's there, and if you're down here, you know, you can't get back up to your creation. It is very deep water, And you can see we've got our creations floating, but really, really awesome stuff. So, of course, I played around with the plane a little bit. I haven't done too much with, like, seaplanes and stuff. Like I said, I really wanted to just make a good map for testing with and just to have, you know, sort of a nice map that gives us a place to test the water mod out and not have all these weird trees and stuff poking through and really give us, like, some good looking scenery. And I would like to expand this map, of course. I think it's very empty. There's just this one island in the middle, and I think we definitely need to work on some other islands. I, of course, built a couple little floating devices. We've got an awesome little floating twin engine motorboat here. We'll take a look at that in a sec, but first I figured, you know what, MacLeod Games, they just published Raft. I've been playing a little bit of Raft with Scrapman, and I thought, you know, we've got to build a raft that behaves kind of like the MacLeod raft does. And that's what this is here. Now, of course, you can see we've got these thrusters underneath it, and that sort of gives us some speed. But it's a floating raft. It's got all the buoyancy here. We've got, you can see the buoyant piece there, which I should really paint brown. There we go. And really simple. We've got a sensor here. We've got 2 buttons. And in Raft, the game, when you want to move, you have to first deploy your sail and then point the sail in the direction you want to move in. And your raft doesn't really rotate. It just kind of slides in whatever direction you're pointing the sail. And that's pretty much what this does. So there's a switch here in between the sail there on the front, but we could just go here through the back and just hit that switch. And there we go. It deploys our sail. And now if we go up to the sensor, you can see it gives us some speed, and we'll move a little bit forward here. And the reason I did this with the sensor is so if you accidentally fall off the raft, it'll automatically stop moving rather than continue to move and just drift off into the sunset. I had it on a switch originally, and then I realized as soon as you fall off once, you're kind of screwed. So we can just line that up. We can kind of, you know, adjust it while we're moving, but really you just want to kind of stop. Oh, we're gonna miss the island. We're still floating up and down with that wave generator. You can see it's still gonna do its thing and move up and down. Of course, we could make it really extreme, but it doesn't do individual waves in individual spots, right? It just moves the whole sheet up and the whole sheet down. So it doesn't really give you that effect of individual waves, but it doesn't do a bad job. Perfect, there you go. You can see the waves really having an effect now, the whole raft kind of tilting, but we can go explore this little island. And like I said, it's going to be really awesome when we have more islands and more stuff available. I'm not going to upload this tile to the workshop just yet. I want to do at least 3 or 4 other tiles first and sort of upload them all as one Waterworld collection. But I really have been having a lot of fun just building this tile. I mean, it's been a bit of a pain dealing with the crashes in the tile editor sometimes, but it's been a lot of fun to try and make a tile piece just because I really didn't do it before. You can see it really does feel kind of like you're floating. I mean, we're just kind of drifting along here. Obviously, this raft kind of tilts up with the thrusters being a little low. And of course, we'll make our way back over. Now, I did want to show one little thing that happens when, of course, you fall off the raft. So if we jump off here, yeah, we're gonna fall down, right? And so this is a problem. Now we can't get a raft down, and it is so high up there. Like this water is super deep. Just mainly to allow us to create submarines if we wanted to. I don't plan on decorating the underneath of the ocean just because you can see here, you know, there's a sort of a lack of immersion, and we could change the color in post-process. Like in video editing, we could make all this blue, but you know, reality is it's whatever. It's not that great. And obviously it would be really cool to have a blue tinge, but there's nothing you can do as a mod maker to sort of fix that. So you can see our creation is definitely stuck up there. And in order to get that, I decided to make a really simple personal flotation device. So if we search PFD here, we've got this awesome seat personal flotation device, and it is really well balanced. So we can actually spawn this here on the lift, take it off the lift underwater, jump on the chair really quickly. We got tons of time to do that. And now it will slowly bring us up to the surface. And you'll watch when it gets to surface, this floats really well. So it's got a bunch of drag blocks on it. It's got enough foam blocks. And it's got just the right weight so that we can, of course, hit the underside of this. Oh, no, this is perfect. We're just we're a little... Okay, well, you know what? That works too. And you can see it'll float just below the surface, and we can just, you know, grab it like this, right? Now we're floating next to it. They're just like that. Oh boy, it's a little too much. It's too much. It's tilting. We're tilting. Can we go? We're not gonna make it. Right. So I didn't really think about how to recover the PFD and actually survive. I mean, with a bigger ship, obviously you could weld that to it. It wouldn't make much of a difference. With this tiny little raft, it makes a huge difference, but it does work really well to recover your vehicles when you're at super depth. Also, you could just, you know, get off on the lift like we did here and problem solved. But of course, I couldn't just make a raft that was terrible. I wanted to have a vehicle that was a little bit faster to drive around with and a little bit more fun to drive with. So I decided to make this relatively small dual-seater front and back kind of motorboat. So this motorboat It's got 2 thrusters. Now, I wish there were even smaller props than this. These are the smaller prop sizes. I wish there was one that was even smaller. You can see with the scale of this motorboat, it doesn't really make sense that these props are as big as they are. But overall, still a pretty cool design. I'm pretty happy with it. And this motorboat was just a lot of fun to make, a lot of fun to balance. You can see we put it down. Floats a little bit heavy in the back, but once we get going, it'll actually kind of plane a little bit and float a little bit more even. For a map like this, it seems like we needed this motorboat. So really simple controls. You can see both the engines are actually on these weird sort of lever steering systems, and they actually steer from way back here. And I actually had to do that because they were turning too much with the steering directly on the bearing. It was causing it to just flip all the time. And you can see these thrusters are cranked up to max on the back, so it'll still, you know, flip a fair amount. So we have those little steering rods, and it kind of makes it work a little bit better. And then, of course, we've got the 1 button, which is simply just for a thruster in the front to give us reversed. It's really too bad. The propellers are actually just kind of mimicked thrusters, so they have the same properties as the thrusters, the same connections as a thruster. So they're hooked into W, you can see. And then we've also got a gas engine hooked into W to, you know, spin the 2 props. So it's really too bad. I wish there was a way to make it so that you could have S hooked up into a thruster relatively easily. I mean, obviously you could do a WS converter. Maybe you could use a scripted block mod. Without further ado, let's just bomb this boat around. So it works really, really well. I really like this boat. Now, the thing is with this boat is you got to really twitch the steering. You can see I'm just tapping the steering button. And even then, because it has so much speed with the thrusters, it still turns really, really well because we are turning both those thrusters, but it will flip the boat. We need to make definitely a wider race boat for sure with more speed. But even then, we'll definitely have to put more thrusters inside the body just to make the thing go. I really enjoy having a boat that we can just kind of bomb around and just drive around over this ocean. And really just enjoy this cool... Oh boy, held the turning too long. Oh, we're flipped. Can we flip it back? Can we flip it? Can we... Yeah, no, that was a problem. Let's see if we can just roll it here. Might be able to... No, we might... Can we roll it? Can we... Oh, come on. Got all the drag blocks. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Like I said, very twitchy with the full speed thrusters. You got to be very, very careful. And again, if you hold that steering button, it really just kind of flips you over. But very, very quick for a little bit of boat here. And 2 thrusters on max, really great. I really got to stop holding that button. Overall, though, I am a really big fan of this mod. I'm really glad I started working on this terrain piece. And, you know, there's definitely a lot more work to be done with these terrain pieces. And I'm really excited to hear what you guys think. And, of course, I really want to make more of these islands and just have a really big world that we can test boats on now. Definitely need to make a boat that's wider, a little bit more stable. This thing, all the flotation devices are really close to the center. So it does like to flip a lot when you give it full speed into a corner, but I really just like how the props actually turn here, and we'll just... perfect. We'll just float right here. I think for this particular world, I'm going to use it mainly for testing the wings mod and the water buoyancy mod. I don't know about testing other mods. We'll see. I mean, it'll depend. For vehicles, obviously, there isn't really any sort of like testing driving area. There's just a lot of water and a lot of empty space for flying. But, you know, if we wanted to do some vehicle tests, we'd obviously need a world with a little bit more terrain. But I am curious to hear what kind of tiles you guys think we should add to this. So, of course, let me know in the comments down below. And while you're at it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Like I said, I will eventually make this tile available on the workshop once I have a few more tiles to add to the collection. But all these creations here, if you would like to download them, I will make them available. And, of course, they do use the buoyancy mod and the wing mod in the test branch. Make sure you hit those buttons down below. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And we'll see y'all next time.